Today, I'm going to show you how to use the latest new API release from OpenAI to build image generation apps like you can see right here. So this is actually an app that I built literally in about 20 minutes. I'll show you exactly how I did it, all the prompts I used, etc. And essentially, we can say inside here, okay, generate stunning thumbnails. Here's my prompt. So I said photorealistic YouTube thumbnail of Sam Altman looking shocked at an SEO chart. And then you can see the image generated underneath, right? This is using the latest API release from ChatGPT. So it literally just came out like yesterday. You can see here, brand new, fresh off the press here. And they say introducing our latest image generation model in the API. And it's actually pretty cool and incredibly easy to build apps with it. So I'm going to show you exactly how I did it using the API. And the other cool thing about this is also the inside client. When I built this out, let me show you exactly how I did this. So inside Klein, which is in Visual Studio Code. I have a full SOP on setting this up inside the AI Profit Boardroom, but essentially inside Klein, we just built this YouTube thumbnail generator using the Gemini 2.5 Pro API, which, if you don't already know, is completely free, right? So you can actually code for free on one of the best AI models in the world using the Gemini 2.5 Pro experimental API, and then you can build out a tool like you can see right here. So this is the tool that we're looking at right now. If we open this up, you can see here. Now, one thing I'm going to say is like the UI, not very good, but I just wanted to show you the capability of this, and then I'll also show you how to improve the API and the UI in a second, all right? So let me show you exactly how to build these and how to avoid the mistakes that I made, all right? So the step number one is obviously you want to come up with an image generation idea. For me, I'm generating thumbnails every single day on YouTube. And so I was like, why not just automate that? I'm actually surprised there's no tools I've seen that are actually decent at doing this. So, for example, with the new API release from ChatGPT, you can generate like really nice thumbnails. Like you can see, these can all be generated with ChatGPT and the new API release. It is a million times better than the old DALL-E 3 method, right? So what we've done here essentially is we've gone onto Visual Studio Code, like you can see, and I've gone inside the client extension. All right, so you can get Visual Studio Code from code.visualstudio.com, and then you can get the client extension from the extensions app over here. Just type in client, install it, boom, shakalaka, you're done. Once you've done that, then you need to plug in an API key. So I would highly recommend using Google Gemini just because it's really good. It's genuinely very good and it's free to use, right? Now, if you want to get a free API key for using Gemini, the way that you can do that is you go to aistudio.google.com. And then from here, you can actually just grab an API key in the top right of here. So you go to click get API key, and that is free to use, my friends. I haven't got my credit card plugged into the system. Once you've done that, all right, so you've set up Visual Studio Code, you've got your Gemini Code API installed, etc. Then you're just going to give it a simple prompt. Now, the prompt that I've used is this one right here. So I've said, use the context 7 MCP to help you. If you don't know what that is or how it works, check out my other video on context 7 MCPs. And also there's a full recipe inside the AI Profit Boardroom. And then I've said, create an app where I can insert my gpt-image-1 API from OpenAI to build image generation apps. Now, specifically said, don't use DALL-E 3, use gpt-image-1. Big difference there. DALL-E 3, pretty trash for images. GPT-image-1, really good for images, right? And then you can say documentation from here. And I've pasted in the documentation from the website, right? So you can see here, this is all the documentation from OpenAI on how to code with this, right? The reason that I paste in the documentation from OpenAI is so that we can get the latest documentation that's just been released on their website, right? So this is documentation on how to generate images using the GPT-image-1 function, okay? And that's the one that you want to be using. There's a few things that I would change inside the prompt, which I've actually put inside the AI Profit Boardroom for you. All right, so this is the prompt that you can see right here. And yeah, I just put this bit here, which is like common errors to avoid. Number one, use context 7 plus API documentation to proactively avoid stuff like this. And then I've said error API request with status 400 and error API request failed with status 400. Those are two of the biggest issues I got. So for example, what Klein tends to do or any other coder tends to do is put the value as standard for creating an image, but actually the values for coding with GPT-image-1 are low, medium, and high, right? So they're the ones you want to be using. Then you're going to insert your own API key. I'm going to delete this API key after the live stream, but you just insert your API key on the actual tool, all right? So we can build this together. I'll show you exactly how we generated it in a second. And also, if we get rid of the task, you can see here, we just had to go back and forth twice. So we had that error API on the first time I used it. Then I had another error here. And then the final problem that I had, obviously it's a YouTube thumbnail generator and it was generating the images in like square format instead of landscape dimensions, which doesn't make any sense. That's the sort of stuff you do have to specify. So actually I would have to put that inside the prompt, which I'm going to do if you want to just steal this stuff from me, all right? And then the beauty of this is like you can build super powerful image generation apps in minutes using this process. And the cool thing is as well, you could sell access to this stuff and then people just insert their own API key to generate responses, right? Really cool. So essentially that's how it works. You can also use the images generation feature inside platform.openai.com. So you can see, for example, this thumbnail was generated with that. But I just think like, why not just build your own tool? Wouldn't that be better? Yeah. And also there's so much stuff you could do with this. Like you don't have to, for example, generate thumbnails. It could be, for example, that you generate image editors or filter generators. Could be like some people out there have created like Tinder optimization image tools, right? And that's something you could probably create with this. I'm not recommending that, but some people probably have done that. So let me show you exactly how to do it. So we're going to go inside Visual Studio Code here. I'm going to open up a new tab here, just to open up a new folder as well. So I'm going to open up a new folder. We'll call this one Image Generation Tool, Thumbnail Image Generation Tool. Okay, we'll open up. And another tip that I would have here is if you can get the documentation from Perplexity, that's going to make it easier as well. Now, I've actually got that inside the AI Profit Boardroom. As you can see right here, I actually asked Perplexity for the core implementation and API to use that. But I think that would help you a lot more, right? So if you go inside Visual Studio Code now, then we're going to go over to inside client. We're going to start a new task. And then if you want to build this out yourself, you can just, for example, take this prompt. Here we go. We'll go over to Visual Studio Code. And then inside here, I'm just going to paste in the documentation. Cool thing about OpenAI is they actually have this copy page feature at the top, so you can just copy that and paste it in. And then the other thing that we're going to do is we are going to say common errors to avoid. So I'm just going to ask it to avoid those errors for me. Probably will still make the errors, it helps. And then finally, what we're going to do is we are going to get the documentation from Perplexity. So it did the research for me on how to build with gpt-image-1 API. And then the final thing that we're going to do here is we're going to say don't use value 3. All right. So we'll go inside Visual Studio Code, add that in, paste that now, and we can start building our process. So that's going to start coding for us now. The other cool thing about Client as well is like you can have like custom instructions on how to code. So for example, if you look at the output of this tool, let's go over here. You see how it's got this information about me each time it builds, and it's using my brand colors. The reason that it's doing that is because I've inserted that inside the custom instructions, right? For example, it writes some copy for me. It has a link to book in a free SEO strategy session, answers some FAQs underneath on how to use the tool, etc. And then you could grab the HTML, the CSS, all the files for this project, and then just go onto Netlify and host it. I'll show you how to do that. So if you want to go and host this stuff, you can just go to Netlify, like you see right here, add a new site, import an existing project, and then just grab and copy the project files that we got here. For example, if we open up this right here, we'll click on Reveal and Finder. We've got the 3 files right there, YouTube thumbnail generator, and then you would just grab that information, all right? So let's just Reveal and Finder here. And then we've got the thumbnail, we've got the details right here. And if we go over to Google Chrome, just grab those files and you would just insert them like this. And then you can just host that stuff. So that's how you can host files that you create inside Client and then get it deployed quickly for you. One thing that I'm going to say here is I did try and use bolt.new to build out a similar sort of app. And it didn't work for me at all. It was a total nightmare, to be honest with you. So if you're struggling, yeah, there you go. And then if we go back to Netlify here and we go to Open Production Deploy using the folder that we just created, you can see our website and our tool is deployed on this address. So actually, if you want to test this out for yourself, I'll put it inside the AI Profit Boardroom here. So if you want to test out just automating tools for yourself, you can do that on Netlify. And then the final thing you need to do is just insert your OpenAI API key. So if we go back to Visual Studio Code now, we've got the client coding out. So you can see here, it's coded out the tool. Honestly, I don't think it's going to work first time around, but we can test it out. So if we click on run command here, let's see what happens. Here's the tool. Again, like the UI is not good. I'm not telling you the UI is good, but everything else is decent, right? And then what we're going to do from here is if we put this into a new tab, we'll grab the API key, we'll plug that into the tool that we just built on client, and then we'll say, okay, create. I'm just going to quickly test it because I don't think it's going to work first time around. I have a feeling that these sort of tools, they don't work first time around. So I'm going to plug that error back into client. Here we go. And then it's going to code out and fix anything that we're struggling with, right? So that's the important part, is like, if you get any errors, you can just go back inside here. Now, some people are asking, like, would you use, for example, Replit instead of Visual Studio Code or something like that? I don't recommend it. Like, when I've used, for example, Replit in the past, number one, it wasn't very good for me. It just didn't work. That's why I don't show it in any videos anymore. Oh yeah, there we go. So we've got the errors that we asked it not to include. But yeah, number two is I just think it's better to code it locally. And then if you have any problems, any errors, like, you seem to get it fixed quicker and you can come back to the project quicker as well. Because if it takes 20 minutes to build out a project, you might as well store it locally and then you've got it good to go. There we go. We'll just keep pasting the errors in here. I'm going to close this other tool that is actually working. That's the other thing as well. It's like with Replit, you're paying money for tools like this. Whereas, for example, Visual Studio Code, you can go back and forth with it. The only thing you potentially pay for is the API key. But if you're using Gemini, then it's a free API key as well. So says this out now. It says generate and please wait. So we'll just wait for the response to load. Typically, if you're using the API, it's going to take about 30 seconds to 45 seconds to get an output. It takes quite a long time to get the output. So let's see what we get back in a second. Boom. There we go. All right. So the image is generated. We've got the thumbnail generated and we're good to go on that. All right. So just as a test, and then if you want to save the image, you just right click and save image like that. Pretty simple and easy. But we've created an image tool in the space of, it's literally been 15 minutes and I've been explaining everything to you. That's crazy. That is crazy. I'm not going to say insane, but I'm saying that's crazy. All right. So inside here now, we're going to go in the settings, and what I'm going to do just to top this off and make it better is I'm going to go and start using the Anthropic API provider, right? And then using Anthropic, I can just make the UI a lot nicer, because right now the functionality is decent, but the UI is trash. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit save on that. And then I'm going to go inside here and just say, make the UI much nicer. The only thing I'm worried about is like Claude is going to take absolutely ages to do this, because quite often when it's coding, like, it will just recode the whole tool, and it will go back and forth with the script.js and the HTML.js to use the new features that it's coded in. So I don't know if we're going to be able to do this right now, but let's just see how long it takes, and I'll give it a reasonable amount of time. So you can see it's adding a lot more lines to the CSS now. But essentially, if you just want a really basic version of the page, then that's good to go, right? And then you're just going to go and iterate with Claude directly inside here and just say, make the UI more modern, etc. Now I'll show you some of the errors that I actually had inside bolt.new when I was using the same process. So if we go to bolt.new over here and we go inside the chat, we'll go to, for example, like YouTube thumbnail generator app. It is not working for me at all. And maybe it's just because I'm not a coder and I'm not very good at this stuff, but essentially, I gave it all the documentation, told it exactly what to use, and you can see here it doesn't even show the preview. I'm pretty sure if I just download that, let's open that up. Yeah, it's just a blank file that doesn't actually work. Okay, thanks, mate. And I actually much prefer the UI inside bolt.new, but the functionality is just not working, right? Whereas, for example, you can see with these two different tools that we've built, I mean, I've seen worse YouTube thumbnails than that. I would go back and forth with it a lot more, but you can see essentially how to do it and how to build this out. So yeah, you can see the literally what Claude does is it edits all the code across all the files, which can take absolutely ages. And it will just go back and forth with the CSS and the HTML forever. So I'm not going to show the full scope of that, but essentially if you want to improve the UI, if you just want to make it look better, then just switch to the Claude API and then start using it. Obviously, Claude is a paid API, right? So it's going to cost you money to use that, but that's the price you pay to get something decent on the UI. Let's test this out again now. So if we go back to the thumbnail editor that we just built, all right. So I'm going to say, okay, photo, realistic image of Sam Altman looking shot whilst watching an AI robot make money on a laptop. Something like that. You can also see here, like, it's generating the right dimensions from what I can see as well. So that's pretty good. And then also, if you're building this out as a tool, if you're building it into something that you want to sell or give away as a lead magnet, like you can see right here, then essentially you can have like nice little CTAs using client as well on the page. So we've got like buttons to book in a free SEO strategy session with us. That actually works and goes straight through to the funnel, which is awesome. And then if we X off there, you've got these links as well to our funnels up the top. So you can use this not just as a way to create a tool for yourself, but also a way to create like a lead generation idea for generating more leads and more customers to your business. And if you're wondering, okay, does that actually work in real life? Like inside the AI SEO Success Lab, so this is a free school group, we gave away 53 AI SEO tools and 5,000 people joined, right? So we got 5,000 leads. Quite a decent percentage of those turned into customers and clients for our SEO agency. And we built all of those tools using a very similar process. You can make money with this process. And here's the thumbnail. Look at that. Boom shakalaka. We're good to go on that. If I was making a video about making money with AI, then I can use this tool to generate images, and then I've got a thumbnail ready to go. Post that. We're living the dream, my friends. And all we need to do is put in the API key. Now you might be wondering, okay, how much does this cost to generate? Let me have a look on the usage on AI Playground, because I'm not sure. I don't think it's cheap, to be honest with you, if you're using that API to generate images, but it's a lot better versus like your typical outputs. So if we go inside here, then we'll go inside usage, we'll see what we use. So we spent like $2.21 today, and bear in mind, like I've been testing it back and forth, messing around with it a lot, etc. So, you know, it does require a lot of back and forth to show you stuff and build stuff like this. But for $2, bear in mind, I literally pay like $60 per thumbnail normally. So to create my own tool that generates thumbnails, like this is 10 times better. And look at that. UI looks way nicer now. That's awesome. I don't know if it's actually going to work, so let's just double check it works now. I'm going to just copy that API key. We'll plug it in there. I'm going to put the same prompt that we used previously. Here we go. And you can see how much better Claude is for coding the UI and just making it look better. I just don't know if that's going to work with the new HTML that Claude generated, because obviously Claude was recoding and editing the CSS, the HTML, the JS, etc. But we'll see what that looks like in a second. If this works, I'm going to be so happy. And if it doesn't work, I'm like, okay, it's all right. I've created a nice little app already. It's fine. And then even the drop downs look nicer now. It all looks a lot tidier and better. If this works, I'm going to put it as a tool inside the AI Profit Boardroom, and you can just get access to it and create your own thumbnails whenever you want. Like I said, it takes about 40 seconds to generate that. So let's see what we've got. In the meantime, look at the difference. Like that was the old version of the tool, and this is the new version of the tool. It just looks much nicer. And look at that. Look at that, my friends. The tool is looking awesome. And then we can download that, open it up. Let's check it actually works. So I'm just opening up the file here. Here we go. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'm not going to call myself a genius, but if you want to in the comments, you're welcome to, right? And just kidding. But if we put that into Netlify now, I'm just going to host it, and then I'll share this tool with people. So we just built a tool live. And why am I going on to Netflix? It should be Netlify. Here we go. All right. And then I'm just going to go onto Visual Studio Code. Again, we're going to reveal that bad boy in Finder, open it up, so far, reveal in Finder. There we go. All right. So I'm going to get the folder now and just get it hosted for you. All right. So if we go back to Netlify now, click on add a new site, import an existing project. And then I'm laughing at some of the comments right now. By the way, if you want to join live streams like this, like just join the AI Profit Boardroom, because we have weekly Q&As. But I'm going to grab this folder with the tool that we just built. Leonard just called me a genius. Thank you, sir. And then we're going to paste that in. And I hope this works. So if we open up the production deploy, there we go, my friends. And let me grab that URL for you right there. And if you want access to it, we'll put it inside the AI Profit Boardroom for you. I'll delete the old one because that looked terrible. And then we'll test out the tool here. All right. No, just add your API key. And there we go. We're living the dream, my friends. The other caveat that I want to say to this is, and I don't know if this is the same for everyone, right? Maybe it's just me, but I also had to get verified on OpenAI to generate images with the API key. So if you need to do that, all you do is you go to settings and then organization, and inside the organization, you'll find it. All right. So if we go to, where is it now? Yeah, it was around here anyway. If you're struggling with the API, just find out or ask ChatGPT how to verify your organization, and then the API key will work for you. Right? Yeah, so you can see here we have to verify it. Look at that verification here. So it says verify year. And it literally took me about 2 minutes, but it was pretty easy to do. And once you've done that, you get access to the image generation API. All right. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to get access to the full SOP from today, plus a community, these are all the instructions. Plus we'll turn that into a nice little SOP in a second, like we do with all our videos. You can see, for example, if we have a look here, we create beautiful SOPs for every single video. So it's just super easy to understand. But if you want to get access to all of this, get it inside the AI Profit Boardroom. This basically shows you how we've scaled to over $300,000 a month revenue. And it's how we've scaled basically our business, automated a lot, saved a lot of time. Like I can now generate thumbnails for $2 that used to cost me $60, and I can do it inside a nice UI with that tool, right? And it's specifically used for generating thumbnails. Additionally, this is just a community focused on making more money and saving time with AI. And you can jump on the weekly Q&As if you want to get on the lives like today. Additionally, you can post inside the community here. We're always updating it, like you can see. So we've added loads of new updates. This is literally just this week, right? This week, we've added all these updates. It's absolutely crazy. And if you want to get access to all of this stuff, feel free to get it inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description. Price is going up end of the month, so make sure you don't miss out. And yeah, you can get access to everything right here. Plus, it comes with all my best courses. So Q&As, courses, community, updates. What more do you want, my friends? And then additionally, if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session, feel free to get that. Link in the comments description. We'll show you how we go from 0 to 145,000 visits a month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars on autopilot with SEO. Feel free to get that. Link in the comments description. And we'll give you a custom tailored one-to-one game plan so you can get more customers, more leads, more profits from Google for free with SEO. Feel free to get that. Link in the comments description, and appreciate you watching.